Okay, we are learning Yoma Daf Mem Beis Amud Aleph. Here we go. We are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 lines down. The last word on the line is Omar. Amar Bitzlak. Shtei Shamati. I heard about two shchitas. Achas shel parah v'achas shel paroi. The parah refers to the parah aduma, and paroi refers to the par of the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur. So I heard about these two shchitas. Achas kasher bazar v'achas pesula bazar. One is kosher if a zar does this, and one will be puzzle if a zar does it. And I don't know which is which. Okay, that's fair. So we're going to try to figure this out. Here we go. Itmar. We learned in a member. Shchita is part of the paroi. When it comes to the shchita of the para aduma and the par of the kohen gadol, Rav Shmuel, we have machlekes Rav and Shmuel. Echad Amar para pesula para pekesher. One says the para aduma is pesula if it's shechted by a zar, and the para of the kohen gadol would be kosher if a zar shechted it. The chad Amar the opposite. Paroi pesula if the kohen gadol doesn't shecht, or if the kohen doesn't shecht the par of the kohen gadol, it is pasula. But the par aduma could be shechted by a zar. So we have machlekes Rav and Shmuel. We don't know who said what. Says the Gemara, Tistayim, I could bring your raya. The Rav who the Amar para pesula. I'll bring you a raya that Rav holds a para aduma that is shechted by a zar will be pesula, which would mean that he was of the opinion that if the kohen gadol didn't shecht his par, but a zar did, that would be kosher. How do we know this? So we have a statement of Reb Zera. Shchitas para bezar pesula. Okay, the shchita of a zar when it comes to the paraduma is pesula. Pretty straight, but that's Reb Zera, not Rav. The Omar Rav Allah. Rav explained this halacha. Omar Rav Allah Elazar v'chuka no shaninu ba. You know why? Because the Torah says when it comes to the shchita, it's got to be done by Elazar the Kohen, and it says the word chuk, zos chukas haTorah, which means that it is ma'akev. Okay, so that's how I know that the Kohen shechting, having a zar shecht a paraduma, is going to be psula, because it says Elazar, the Kohen did it, and it says chayik. Chayik is a lashon, that means it's ma'akev. Okay, fantastic. Frak the Gemara, yeah, but guess what? But paroi namayaksiv arin v'chuka. When it comes to the shchita of the kohen gadol's par, it talks about arin doing it, and it says the word chayik, which means that it is ma'akev. So ma'ishna, what's the difference? Oh, it says the Gemara, shchita lava voidehi, meaning, you're right, it says chukah when it comes to Yom Kippur, but that is only going on things that are an avodah. Shchita is not an avodah. So why should par be any different? Oh, shani para, the kache bedek habayis. Par is different because that is kache bedek habayis. That's not, nothing of the para duma is not a carbon. It's brought on haramishcha, shechted outside the Beis Hamikdash. Practically, Marv called the king. Well, then it's a kal v'chaymer. Meaning, if when it comes to the par of Yom Kippur of the Kohen Gadol, which is very chamer, it's in the Beis Hamikdash, and it doesn't need shchita of a kohen. It could be kosher with a zar. Then certainly the paraduma should be kosher with a zar. Where says, no, you don't understand what I'm saying. I'm not shisha breder of idi. Midi the hava amarois nagoyim, the lava voidehi ubayikuna. You see, the para aduma is not an avodah at all. Nothing of the para aduma is an avodah, but it requires kahuna. Just like maris nagoyim is not an avodah, but it requires a kohen. So therefore, since it's not an avodah, so the fact that shchita is not an avodah is not going to be an exception. Nothing's an avodah, but the whole thing requires kahuna. as opposed to the part of the Kohen Gadol. So there's an Avodah. Things that are Avodah need a Kohen. Things that are not an Avodah don't need a Kohen. Now, why isn't Shechita an Avodah? So Rashi says, because Shechita can be done by a Zar. If it can be done by a Zar, it's not an Avodah. Taisus gives two other explanations. I'm going to read it here from the Dirshu. He brings that the Makor, he says, because Shechita is done by Chulin as well, so that means that Shechita is not an Avodah. Avodah is something which is only done by Kachim. But since Shechita can be done by Chulin as well, so that it is done by Chulin as well, so it's not an Avodah. That was the Re-Moralines. And then Rabbeinu Shimshon says that since if the sheichet is not standing in the azara when he does the shechita, if he has a long knife, that would be kosher. So that shows you that's not an avodah. Okay. Slightly more later. Let's go to the other. So that was for Rav. So we see that Rav is the one that holds that the paraduma needs a kohen, is not kosher bizarre, is psula bizarre, and the par of the kohen gadol is kosher bizarre. That's what Rav holds. That means Shmuel holds the opposite. Shmuel davar par pisula. Shmuel says that a par is by a par of kohen gadol of Yom Kippur. A zar will passel it maishna. Well, what's the reason for that? That's because parik maishna parik. So, for example, maishna parik dichsev Aaron v'chuka. Paranami dichsev Elazar v'chuka. It says Elazar v'chuka. It says Aaron v'chuka. So then, why should there be any distinction? Oh, and it says the Gemara. Shani Hasam. Well, let's take a look where it actually. What does it actually say by the para aduma in return terms of shechita? This says. Pasuk says, "V'shachat oisa lifanav," and he shechts it. He shechts the para in front of him. Well, who's shechting in front of whom? Well, the in front of whom is that it's shechted in front of Elazar. So she hezar shechev Elazar roya. So you see, the pasuk says he don't need Elazar shechting. It was shechting in front of him. And if it doesn't tell me who's shechting, then I could say that Zar is also shechting. Oh, good kasha. V'Rav. So how does Rav explain this pasuk? The pasuk is saying Lefanav is telling you that when he shechs it, he can't be mesiach das. He's got to be fully cognizant of what he's doing. He can't space out from this avodah. Where does he know that? He agrees to the concept. So how does he know that by the shechita there can't be any hesach hadas? So he learns that from Visaraf as hapara le'einav. Okay, that when he's shechting, it's got to be le'einav in front of him. So he's got to be aware of that. There can't be a hesach hadas from the streifa. V'rav chadu shechita v'chad b'streifa. He says, no, I need both. I need you to tell me both by shechita and by streifa that there can't be a hesach hadas. Why? If the Torah only would have written it by shechita to tell me that you can't have a hesach hadas mishum detchilas avodah, because that's the beginning of the service. So you got to make sure that in the beginning you're fully cognizant. Aval sreifa, but when you get to the sreifa, maybe you don't need das. Maybe you could be behesach hadas tzricha. So it has to write it by shechita. Because Rahman b'Sreifa, I'm sorry, by the Shreifa. Because Rahman b'Sreifa, if it only would have written by the Shreifa, Mishum Dahashtu, the Miskashra Para. That's because that's when you're making it in the Efer Apara. Aval Shchita, but maybe in the Shchita does not need that. Therefore you need both. So where don't you need? Where could you have a Hesach Hadas? Maybe it's coming when you're actually gathering the Efer Hapara, or when you're filling up the water to Mekadesh, the Para Duma Ashes. The pasuk says Lamishmeres Meinida. Now that could be the example because it says Lamishmeres. It needs Shimur. So it's the lav gufa the parinu, since throwing in the wood and the grass that's tied up with the shnitelas you're not doing something with the para, so that could have a hesach hadas. Okay, gewaldig. We're on Mem Beis, Amid Beis. We'll continue straight. Here we go. Itmar, we learned in a memra. Shchitas para bizar. If a zar shachts a paraduma, Rabbi Ami Amaksheri, Bislak Nafcha Amakpsula. So this machlekes we had with Rav and Shmuel is machlekes Rav Ami and Rav Yitzchak Nafcha as well. Ula Amar Ksher Rav Amar Lapsula, we're not sure what Ula held. Mazar Rav Yeshua ben Bar Abba L'Siu L'Rav. Rav Yeshua bar Abba asks a kasha, which would be a raya to Rav, and a kasha on Shmuel. So here we go. Ein li el hazaz meimel she'ein kasherin be'isha kebish ve'ein kasherin el v'yay. The hazah, the sprinkling of the paradum ashes. So that needs to be done with a man. You cannot have a woman doing it, as the pasuk says numerous times. It says kohen or it says ish. So we know we're talking about a man. Where did Rashi go? Okay. And it has to be done by day. The pasuk says, "Hu yischat boy b'yom hashlishi." So it's got to be done during the day. So minayin l'rabbis shchitasa v'kabbalas dama v'azaz dama v'sripasa v'shlachas eitz eres v'ezav v'shnita las. How do you know that these things as well need to be done by day? This that has to be done that a woman would be puzzled. That's pashut because the pasuk says, so that I know it needs to be done with a man and not a woman. But how do you know that it needs to be done during the day? The pasuk says, Torah, so Torah means that all the laws should be the same for everything. So I would think that gathering the afer, the ash, and filling up the water should also need to be done by day. Talmud Leimer Zeus. Zeus, meaning Davka, that which is written here, Zeus needs to be done by day, but not these two. So in fact, Gemara, Uma Royis. Well, why would you say Ma Royis Rabbi says Elu, he says Elu? Why would you be Marbeh some and we might see others? Like where's the Svara? Beautiful lesson of Rashi here. Rashi says the Achar Sharibu Hakasav Umiyat, like Pirish my Ribu my Miyat. The Torah doesn't tell you what to add and what to subtract. Me'ata le Masron El Hisbainenba. So it's given over to think about as ha'emes of as hayashar, that which is true and straight. That is what we have to figure out. What's emes and what's yashar? So where says the svara? It says like this. So I'd learn everything from hazah. You only can have a man doing it, not a woman. Since you can't have a woman doing it, so therefore you can't do it at night. You have to do it by day. Since you could have a woman doing these two things, so you could be done by day also. Okay. So what exactly is the kasha here on? How do you see anything here about shchita bizarre? I see shchita be'isha, but where do you see shchita bizarre? Well, maybe you'll say, listen, if a woman is puzzled, then a zar, someone who's not a kohen, will also be puzzled. That's not true. Because the sprinkling of the water can be done by a zar, just can't be done by a woman. Let me explain to you what the tiyufta is. Isha my timer. Where do we know you can't have a woman doing the avodah or doing the paraduma? Because it says Elazar. Now, does it actually say Elazar anywhere? No, it says V'shachat oisa lefanav. But we assume that's talking about Elazar. Who assumes that's talking about Elazar? That is only according to Rab. So this Tana, this Brisa only makes sense according to Rav. Elazar v'leisha zarnami Elazar v'leizar. So this drasha of Elazar v'leizar would only then it's not a pasuk that says Elazar. It means v'shachat Yisrael b'fanav is talking about Elazar, not like Shmuel learned that it means v'shachat Yisrael in front of Elazar. It means that Elazar shachts it without a hesel gadas. Who's that? That's only going according to Rav. So this brisa only makes sense according to Rav. That's the raya that Rav Yeshua bar Abba brings a raya to Rav from this brisa. Okay, so the Marvaiter now. We're going to go through all the psukim. It will make the following comment. Kol a parsha kula. The whole parsha of the paraduma, mashma moitzim yad mashma, umashma memela. There are some mashmaisin which seem to go not like other mashmaisin. Some you have things, the psukim sound like they contradict each other, and some mashma mela, some psukim sound like they read smoothly. So the Gemara is going to go through the psukim and let's see what we got. So let's do the first one. When esatem oisa el Elazar kain, you will give the para aduma to Elazar the kain. The Gemara dashes oisa, you will give it oisa le'Elazar v'le'lo deiris le'Elazar. This paraduma needs to be done with Elazar, but the other paradumas do not need to be done with Elazar. Who's Elazar? Elazar was the skan to the Kohen Gadol. So the army l'deiros b'Kohen Gadol. So some learn, okay, so this one is not done by the skan. So who does it? The army. It means that the Kohen Gadol has to do the other paraduma. The army l'deiros b'Kohen Hajit. So Bishlam l'deiros b'Kohen Hajit Shapir. So that makes, I understand why you would say that. Like, where do you get off saying that? If you want to say Elazar, and this needs to be with Elazar, and something else is not, it doesn't tell me who does it, so I would assume it means any kind. So why would you say it needs to be the Kohen Gadol? I learned chuka, zes chuka satera, and it says chayk by Yom Kippur. So that's how I would learn that you need to have a Kohen Gadol doing the paradum. Next pasuk, the next phrase, v'hoitzi oisa, and you take out the paraduma. Shalayaitzi acheres ima. We learn from there that you take it out. You can't take another animal out with the paraduma, or at least another para out with the paraduma, because it's not like we learned in the Mishnah. Well, here's the para right. So lot says, what happens if the para doesn't want to move, doesn't want to go out the Har Mishcha? So you would think, let me get another animal, and it'll follow it. Don't take out a black one to next to the paraduma, and it'll follow that. People shouldn't say shachtu. They're shachting a black cow instead of a paraduma. Don't take another red cow with it. People shouldn't say shtaim shachtu, that they're shachting two. What's so bad if they shachtu? Not sure. Okay. It could be from the Shasha. I saw another. You can only shaft one at a time. Okay. Rabbi Omer. Rabbi Omer. Shloi ben Hashem was that. What are you giving me svaris for? It says you take it out. It means you don't take anything else out with it. Why are you giving me svaris black? Because the shlayimru. So what it says, the Tanakama. What's the Tanakama? Why are you giving me svaris? Man Tanakama Reb Shimon. The Tanakama is Reb Shimon. The Darish time of the Kra. He darshins time of the Kra. So you're right. The darshing I saw, but he gives the reasons for it. My beinayu. What nafkamina would it be if you darish time of the Kra, or you just say it's a drasha? Ikabeinayu tava megemol maralev the apik chamor bahada. What if I took a chamar? No one's going to be thinking, Lachar, you're going to be shechting. According to the Tanakhama, it's going to be mutter because there's no Shema Yemnu. Everybody knows it's got to be a para. And but according to Rabbi, that says, you can only take it out. You can't take anything else out with it. Then it would be a surah. All right, we'll continue with the rest of these next time.